if they're selling children, why is no one doing anything about this? It just didn't make any sense to me. And so after about 2 years, I created a curriculum to go out and train parents originally, and parents didn't want anything to do with this. Like nothing. I had visceral reactions from people. I'm like, fine, you're uncomfortable, not a problem. Get out my way. I'm going to go talk to your kids.
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivatude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivatude.
Welcome to Vivatude. This is Kate Phillips, and I am your host for the Vivatude show. My specialty here in the 8 Principles of Wellness is all about financial and occupational wellness, which I call purpose and prosperity. But what we have today is an extraordinary story of a woman who found her purpose, her calling, in a very unusual way. It upended her life completely, changed her trajectory and career path. I have had the pleasure of working with her and supporting her organization as well. The organization is Paving the Way Foundation, and their purpose is to disrupt the cycle of child and human trafficking to keep our kids safe. And I am here today with their founder, Jan Edwards. Welcome, Jan.
Hi, Kate. I'm so happy to be with you today.
I am just thrilled to be here. And so, oh my gosh, you help solve and disrupt this horrible, horrible problem that we have with child trafficking and our kids being preyed upon, especially online. How in the world did this story begin?
Yeah, as we were talking about before this, and people ask me all the time, they're like, okay, because most, or not all, but most organizations in this space have been started by or founded by someone who's been personally impacted by trafficking or online exploitation. We now have all these parents, parents for us, parents SOS, parents this, because their children have sadly lost their lives from this crime, online exploitation. And then we've got young people that have created Design It For Us and AI Encode, and, because these are young people watching things happening, going, this is just not okay. Because they've actually experienced this crime. And then you've got other survivors that have created environments as well of, those that have experienced human trafficking. So yeah, I get a really, well, are you a survivor? Nope, I'm not. I mean, we're all survivors of something, correct? But no, I'm a
Sure.
survivor of that, thank God. Um, so I'll give you the origin story. It's entertaining to say the least, and I'll try and keep it as short as I can. But several years ago, so back in I'm going to say 2012, 2013, I was working for a startup company, and they had a vision screener, and it was a really cool device. And I closed Walmart in 9 months to buy the vision screener. Okay, yeah, that's unheard of in that space. And 2 weeks after we closed the deal, they laid me off. Now they were going to IPO, so it wasn't a surprise, but still at the same time, you're like, okay, so you didn't want to pay me commission? Like, what was that about, right? But whatever it is whatever it was. And but I still wanted to be a contractor, a 1099 for that, because I could see where it would make a difference out in the world. I could see the difference it would make. And I had just been at an event up in New York, and then I was invited to the Get Health Summit at the UN. So this is 2013. And everybody goes to events, and whether it's a speaker or you see someone in a breakout session or you just see someone on the lunch line, you get that, I got to talk to them. We've all had that experience. And so there was this panel talking about technology, because Africa leapfrogged Landlines, everybody's on cell phones. It's like a
Mm.
78, 79% cell phone penetration. Now, not necessarily iPhones, flip phones, but still cell phones the same.
Sure.
So they were talking about the challenges of that, and there was a man on the panel, Dr. Mahari, and he's from Ethiopia, and it was just one of those. I got to talk to that guy, so I did. So we exchanged numbers, we texted, we emailed back and forth, and because he is a physician and he works in and out of Ethiopia, I'm like, what a great contact, right? We can bring this into Ethiopia, they can buy the product, help the world. And so we were engaging back and forth via email. And he said, Jan, I do really want to talk to you about this. He said, but I'm planning a trip to Ethiopia next month. He goes, that's just really where my head's focused, on top of being a neurologist, right? And I'm like,
Mhm.
not a problem. Just email me when you get back, send pictures. Cause I'm not going anywhere. I'm doing what I'm doing. He sends me an email right back and goes, do you want to go? Well, it's not every day you get invited to go to Ethiopia. So I went. And it was there that I witnessed human trafficking. Now, you got to remember, time-wise, this is 2013, 12 years ago. There was no Maxwell, Epstein, P. Diddy, R. Kelly, Jean-Luc, none of that stuff. Um, Weinstein, none of those things were happening. And so I had no idea what human trafficking was. No clue. I just knew I was going to Ethiopia. And we were coming back from a vision screening. We trained at a school and did a vision screening at a school. And if anybody that's listening or watching has been to a underdeveloped, underserved country, they don't have the roadways that we have. They don't have the stoplights. They don't have the freeways. They don't have what we have. So, imagine your downtown with two stoplights. That's what traffic was like. And just as we broke out of traffic, I'm looking out the window and there's two older men and two younger girls, and it just didn't feel right. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was, but I just didn't like what I saw. And when I got back to my sponsor's home, I asked him, shared with him what I saw. And he's like, oh, yeah, yeah, it's human trafficking. Like, what are you talking about? Remember, it's 2013. What are you talking about? He goes, Jan, we have 4.5 million orphans in Ethiopia. We're the number one source of human trafficking into the Middle East.
Wow.
And I sat there for a nanosecond and I said, hang on a second. I said, are you telling me people are selling people? Because my mind couldn't wrap around that,
Hmm.
right? Emancipation Proclamation, 1865, abolitionists, Frederick Douglass. There's a lot of people that worked really hard to stop slavery. What are you talking about?
Yes, and especially of young people, like, aren't we supposed
Yes.
to protect our young
Yeah, hang
people?
on a second. And he looks at me, he goes, Jan, it's a $150 billion industry. Where you been? I'm like, oh, Orlando, where we don't talk about this kind of stuff. So it got laid on my heart right there. And I came home and I did 2 years of research. I'm a business person by trade. I worked for, Fortune 500 telecommunications company for a long time, most of my career. I'm a business person. So, I only know one way to do something, and that's that way. So I did a lot of market research. I talked to anybody that would talk to me about this topic because I just didn't understand. It's like, okay, if they're selling children, why is no one doing anything about this? It just didn't make any sense to me. And so after about 2 years, I created a curriculum to go out and train parents originally, and parents didn't want anything to do with this. Like nothing. I had visceral reactions from people. I'm like, fine, you're uncomfortable, not a problem. Get out my way. I'm going to go talk to your kids. And that's what we do, is we go in and we go talk to kids. And the driver for me is I know what's happening to our children online. I see it every day. I talk
Yeah.
to them we talk to them every week. We've trained 46,000 kids in the past. We'll go into our 10th year next year, the past 9 years, in person, in small groups. So we're with children. We know what's
Yes.
happening, right?
Is
And
this through schools, through
yes,
churches,
yes,
what,
yes,
all of the
yes,
above?
yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we're in the school district. We work with all the after school programs. People know who we are here,
Yeah, and
which
and
is
tell me
good.
what the kids tell you, because the adults didn't want to talk
Yeah.
about it. They didn't believe it was happening, but
Well,
tell me
what's
what.
interesting, Kate, is they didn't want to talk about it, but they were okay with us talking to their kids. That's what's fascinating. Now, the parents, I
Mm,
will say, parents are starting to come around. Um,
okay.
but we stood in front of our first group of foster youth in 2017. And then Boys and Girls Club hired us, and we, trained probably about 300 kids at Boys and Girls Club. And we learn along the way. We learn what works. We're always
Yeah.
evolving. And people want me to put my training online. I'm like, I can't. It's too dynamic. Things are changing. We didn't have chatbots 8 months ago. We got chatbots now. So you can't, it would cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars to update a video every single week because that is how often we update our decks, right? And update our dialogue and update our conversations. And my poor team, I text them at odd hours of the night because, sleep, um, articles that I'm reading because I need them to be as up on this as I am. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's beautiful about this is because we're super authentic and we're knowledgeable and we're credible and we're socially and culturally relevant, the kids love this conversation because it's a conversation. You-
Yes, and the fact that you're having it person to person. I mean, you have kids that reach out to you, right? That they're in a situation that they shouldn't be in.
Yeah, we have
Somebody's,
kids disclose all the time because see what's missing, Kate, and there's some good trainings out there. I'm not going to say we're the best of, but we're good at what we do, is we're giving language to something that our kids can't explain because they don't know what it's called. So we're giving
mm,
them the words to be able to say, this guy's making me feel uncomfortable and I don't know what to do about it. And now you're telling me that it's actually illegal for him to do that to me because I'm a minor and he's an adult. I need to talk to somebody about this, right?
yes.
That so they it like you can watch their brain. And we had our holiday party today, and I asked them, I said, what's one moment, over the past year that, it's like that moment that sticks in your brain. And every single person shared, that one child that came up to them and gave them a hug, that one child that remembered the training that they did earlier that year, the thank you for doing what they did, having the conversation that they did with that group of kids. And then they all asked me, they're like, Jan, what's yours? And I go,
Mhm.
you're you're it.
Yeah.
This, like you said, this was me, myself, and I. Um,
And
and
now you've got a team.
Yeah, and we're growing,
Amazing.
right? We're hiring. So
Yeah.
it's, that's the fulfilling part because I really do want this to go on beyond me. I want to
Yeah.
be and I'm not going to say, there's a couple of organizations that have been tainted, but I want to be that organization, that I want to leave that kind of organization intact, that we continue to have conversations because to me, that's the magic is we're dialoguing with kids. They're teaching us and we're teaching them. And it's a symbiotic relationship and it alters behaviors. And for me, but they're choosing it. No one's telling them to. We're giving them the evidence. We're engaging in their critical thinking, and then they're making choices to stay safe. No one can take that away from them. That's, everybody's heard that conversation about education. When you get an
Mm,
education, no one can take that away from you. Life experience is very similar. So it's the you're learning and gaining information and knowledge that can not only save your life, it can save others, and no one can take it away from you. So when you're in that moment of someone's texting you an inappropriate picture, or someone's trying to flirt with you, or someone's trying to engage with you, red flag immediately. How many people are they following? Who are they following? How many posts have they done? I get friend requests all the time on Instagram. These handsome men, that have done 5 posts and they're following 1,500 women.
yeah. And they're always doctors, widows, military men with
Oh,
dogs, right? All
yeah,
the time. But
all the
but
time. And so it's one of those you're like, but look, our brain's fully developed. Theirs is not.
yeah.
Theirs is
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if
that's a good
someone,
point.
yeah, and if someone had told me 10 years ago, this is what we'd be doing, this is what I'd be doing, and love it, I would have laughed at him.
Mm,
I would have laughed at him.
it
I would have laughed
it
at him.
It totally upended your life. Tell me some of the statistics for,
Sure.
I want two things. One is some statistics about trafficking and about, I know you discovered that this wasn't just over there overseas, that this was in your own backyard. And then I want to know also, what does it mean when you say you train kids? Like what's the skill set, like in a few bullet points that is making the difference for them?
Right. So I'm going to give you some statistics, but I'm going to use the same method I teach kids. Okay. So I'm going to ask you a
Perfect.
question. You're going to tell me what you think. Now, there's no wrong answer because this isn't
Uh-huh.
being taught places, right? And that's the thing we're with kids. We're like, what do you think it is? And they're all staring at us. We ask, what do you think human trafficking is? So we're not teaching this. So there's no way they would know, but they have an assumption. They have a myth based on a video they saw or a movie they saw or a song they heard. And so they have something in their brain about what they think it is. And so we get to address the myth without making anybody wrong. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, what do you think human trafficking actually is?
I guess I think of it as one human selling another, but I know that it happens in neighborhoods where it could be a neighbor, it could be an uncle, like it's not obvious.
Right, right. Well, you're in the neighborhood, so good job. It's the use of force, fraud, or coercion, okay, to have a human being do something they would never cognitively choose. Now, if we go back to the Diddy case, okay, so many things to say about this. And the jurors didn't understand why she didn't leave. It's
Mm,
because we don't understand trauma bonding. We
hmm
don't understand coercive manipulation. We don't understand those things. So I get why they chose how they chose because they just don't know. So we're erasing some myths from that. So now we all have a sense of what human trafficking is, right? Use of force, fraud, or coercion. Now, the beauty of the governmental's definition is that doesn't have to be used to prove for a child because we know no child would choose to be sold for sex or work.
hmm
No child would choose
Yeah.
that. No child would cognitively choose that. Like you chose your outfit today. I chose my outfit today. No one came running into your bedroom and said, you have to wear this scarf, right? They didn't threaten you. Or they didn't manipulate you and go, well, if you wear that scarf, I'll take you out to dinner. None of that happened. You chose your scarf. Cognitively chose your scarf. But our children's brains aren't done yet. And they're so desperate to connect with someone they will believe almost anything. And if you look at abusive relationships, and it's in the very similar space,
hmm
the abusers know what women are looking for, and they are that until they're not. But we're already
Yeah.
invested and in love. It takes women 7 times to leave a domestic violence situation. 7 times
Wow.
from being hit, abused, raped, right? Shut out, no money, no food, 7 times. So
And
people don't
Jan,
understand the strength of a trauma bond.
yes. And how many minutes does it take for a child to send a photo they're going to regret?
Yeah.
I heard this from you and I was
hmm
shocked.
Less than 17 minutes.
Less
Less
in
than
that
17 minutes.
17 minutes of
From
total
the,
engagement
yeah, from the time,
online.
from the time, I get that text to the time they're sending me an inappropriate picture to the time they're asking me for one. Yep. 17 minutes.
17 minutes in one setting or over the course of,
Nope.
oh my
One second.
gosh.
Yeah. What do you think the average ages they target?
Well, I kind of know this from you that I think it's right around 10 to 12, 10 to 13.
Yeah, 10 to 13. That's online. What do you
Shocking.
what do you think it is in person?
Oh, I don't know. Is it younger or older?
Older, 14 to 16.
14 to 16.
Yeah,
Okay.
predators start to target girls and boys, but girls mostly sophomore, junior year of high school because they know when they turn 18, they can't prove anything. Because now when you're
Mm,
an adult, right, and your brain's not fully developed until you're between 25 and 30. So You might be legally 18, but you're not cognitively an adult yet. So, right, legally an adult, not cognitively an adult. So they know and they trauma bond and they have these girls fall in love with them. And there's a really great interview on YouTube where
Mm.
this predator says, we promise them the world, we promise them the dreams, and then we bring them to hell.
Oh my
So
gosh.
it's intentional manipulation because they make so much money off it. Look, one child's worth $250,000 a year. You only need 5 kids. That's $1 million cash business.
That is,
Cash. No taxes. And the average lifespan inside that space is about 7 years. So if you get sucked in at 14 or 15, you won't see your 21st birthday.
yeah, yeah.
You know, and it's a dark topic, and that's the thing, Kate, is I know this is a dark topic. I understand
Mhm.
that. But here's the deal. If we don't shine a light on it and we don't have these uncomfortable conversations, I tell parents all the time, pick your uncomfortable. Okay, pick your uncomfortable. You can either be uncomfortable for 90 minutes with me, which you won't be. You're going to feel some things, but you're actually going to have fun and learn some stuff and leave empowered. Or you can be
Mm.
uncomfortable for the rest of your life because your child either overdosed on drugs, ran away, or decided to end their life. You choose
Wow.
your uncomfortable. I'll pick the 90 minutes. Thanks.
Please, I'll take the
That's just
90
me,
minutes.
right? I'm like, please take the night. And I feed you too. We have the hardest time getting parents to come have this conversation. And I have compassion for it, Kate. I understand.
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
hard topic. I get it.
And speaking of uncomfortable, how did you talk yourself, or what did other people say when you decided to transition from here? I'm a successful, corporate person, selling, making lots of money, and now I'm going to leave it all to pursue this crazy thing to solve a problem that nobody's talking about, nobody wants to talk about, and nobody knows how to solve it. Tell me about that.
Well, Kate, you know me. I'm a little
Uh-huh.
on the tenacious side,
Yeah.
just a little. I'm driven, and
Hmm.
I have so I'm Cherokee and Choctaw Indian, and my great 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 grandmother walked the Trail of Tears. So
Mm.
there's a justice thing
Mm.
in me, and it's been that way as long as I can remember. Somebody bullied my best friend, and I when I was in third grade, and I punched him in the nose and ended up at the principal's office. Right. So there's something about me to defend others. I'm clear. I'm a Deborah spirit, but like a warrior spirit. It's like not on my watch is that going to happen, right? Not on my watch. It's just not okay. And being a mom and spending time with my daughter and my daughter's friends growing up, kids are extraordinary. They're
Mhm.
so smart and they're so open and they're so wise. Like I'm convinced if we put a bunch of fifth graders in the room and said, "Here, solve, hunger," they would. They would. They're just really smart because their brains, they're not in that little box yet, and they're going to think of
Yeah.
all kinds of different answers and solutions. So, while so it's really that, and God gave it to me. I don't want to insult
Mm.
anybody that doesn't have the same beliefs than I do, and so please apologize, but don't take this personal. But it was real. God said, "Save my children."
Wow.
Okay, you don't. In my world, you know the story of Jonah. It doesn't go well if you don't do the thing. Right? And so it's like, okay, and because I am who I am and I'm a problem solver and I'm tenacious and I'm driven and I'm determined and I also understand how to work with people. I'm highly trained and developed inside that space and I'm a huge collaborator. It's, having conversation after conversation after conversation to really get to the source of the problem and then create a solution that empowers others. I don't want people to have to keep coming to me and going, Jan, what do I do? What do I do? No, 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 no. I'm giving you everything you need to know what to do. Now, if you want to call me to double check, not a problem.
Yeah.
But I give you all the resources you need. I give you the words to say. I give you the actions to take. I can't take them for you. If your child comes to you and there's an inappropriate picture on their phone, you're going to have to take the action, not me. I can't do
Mhm.
that because the moment you pick the phone and call me, I have to call DCF. That's not going to go well for you. So yes, we can call DCF together. I can tell you what to say. You can call and you can call me back, but you want to make the call. This is your kid. This is your child, right?
Yeah. We are going to go to a breakdown, and when we come back, we are going to talk about while all of this was happening, while Jan was, getting this literal mission, divine mission that drove her to change her entire life and launch a nonprofit, she was also her thrust into caregiving. And we're going to talk about that the next segment. We'll be right back with Vivatude.
And thanks for listening to Vivatude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivatude.